What if we had the full story? What if we knew as recently as 1944 there were maps that were used for flight school that depicted Antarctica as a circle around all the known continents? What if we knew that very similar maps from 1892, literally 1892, depicted the exact same thing as Antarctica, a circle around all the known continents, mapped out with perfect terrain? What if we knew that there were more maps that depicted similar things from hundreds of years ago? Maps like the Montes map of 1587 that literally depict a circular barrier around all the other known continents. And then in the middle isn't just vast wasteland of the Arctic Ocean, but no, there's land depicted in the center of all the other continents. Land that looks like this. Maps like the Mercator map from the 16th century that depicted the North Pole not as nothing but frozen water, but islands surrounding a mysterious black rock. A giant black rock that maybe all of our compasses point right to. What if they taught us about the distant early warning line, which is literally 1,000-mile surveillance set up right around that North Pole? And while their claim is to see if anyone is coming across the globe from Russia to the United States, what if it was really surveillance to know if you were getting close to the center that they don't want you to know about? The center that on a globe they tell you is nothing but water. Empty wasteland, frozen water. What if they taught us in the history books about Operation High Jump, where Admiral Byrd, the most established and decorated admiral in the Navy's history, took thousands of men to Antarctica to supposedly explore the ice shelves? What if we knew that mission ended abruptly and Admiral Byrd himself said that we should expect not attacks from the sea in the future, but from the air? What if we were taught that Antarctica was the highest elevated land in all of the world, by more than double for the rest of the known world? What if we were taught about Operation Deep Freeze, where again, Admiral Byrd went back to Antarctica to explore the highest elevated land, and it came back and looked an awful lot like a never-ending wall, one that went on and on and on as far as the eye could see? Kind of reminds me of those maps we talked about earlier and how each one depicted Antarctica as a ring around us with geography and terrain all mapped out. What if they told us about Operation Fishbowl, aka Operation Dominic, where they sent a series of high-altitude nuclear tests up into the atmosphere? Oh, and Operation Fishbowl, aka Operation Dominic, just happens to translate to belonging to God. And well, what if they showed us what that operation looked like? And then you can compare it to what a bullet looks like when it's impacting something, and see that it seems that those missiles being fired into the air weren't just blowing up, but impacting something, because when you compare, they look awfully similar. What if they showed us these things? What if they showed us that all those old maps that we see that have what seems to be Antarctica surrounding us looks exactly like the United Nations flag? And what if they showed us that both the North and the South have treaties preventing independent travel and exploration for anyone other than supervised trips? What if they showed us what stars actually looked like through real telescopes with your own eyes instead of NASA's version of them? This is the star Betelgeuse, courtesy of my good friend David Shane. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like a burning ball of gas quintillions of miles away. What if we had the full picture? What if we knew all these things? What if we knew all these things before we were programmed at the age of 3 to believe that we lived on a spinning ball where the South Pole was nothing but an ice shelf continent and the North was nothing but frozen water? What if we knew these things before we were told to believe that we were spinning thousands of miles per hour around the sun and traveling infinitely faster throughout the galaxy, supposedly to never return to the same place twice? And what if they showed us that star trails just repeated circles over our head over and over and over again before they programmed our minds to believe we were traveling infinitely throughout the solar system in infinite space? What if you had all this information? Do you think you would still believe you live where water can curve magically around a ball and stick upside down, holding it, us, and even boats to it upside down, but allow the clouds to magically float up into the air? What if we had all the information? Do you think you'd still believe the way you do? I'd like to take this time to encourage any of you who know what I know about where we live to post this, just to get people thinking. I'd like to encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone and share this with people. Maybe, just maybe, you might cause someone to think, what else haven't they told us? What else don't we know? And what else could I see possibly different than I do today? Because you never know when that thing you question might just open a door for you that you never knew existed, or at least knew existed but never believed could be real, could be truth, and could change your life. Change your life for the absolute best, where you have no fear of dying, no fear of chemtrails, no fear of them poisoning our food, just ultimate faith in God. God and being an infinite spiritual being just here for an experience. And no, you know that every civilization that ever existed knew we lived under a dome, right? Well, all except this one, of course. Entertainment purposes, my